So, last we left off, Michel is starting to think that his family has it out for him, and that they sent Giselle there to do something bad to Michel, but Michel doesn't know what it is. And he's trying to find that out right now, so he has left the mansion and he's approached this man who lives in this cabin, and this man has been tasked by Michel's family to watch over Michel, and so Michel thinks that this man might have some answers on if his family is plotting anything, but apparently the man he is saying that he hasn't been told anything. So he's claiming that he has no knowledge of any plot that Michel's family has against Michel. So that's where we left off. I think Michel is leaving the cabin now. So, Lord Michel, yes? Is it true that you don't have... Would you like me to sew your mouth shut so you can never open it again? Not at all. My sincerest apologies, Lord Michel. That was horribly disrespectful. Good night. Ah, cursed I most certainly am. Oh, and we also did find out in the last episode that Michel's curse does not involve him touching other people or other animals and killing them. So we don't actually know what Michel's curse is in this story yet. My mother's response arrived just 10 days later. The delivery boy must have pushed his horse quite hard. It was almost exactly a month after Giselle had moved in. And shortly thereafter, on a bone-chilling night, everything came crashing down. The rift between us grew deeper, and the wall between us impossibly high. When I lay bare the scars in her chest, and mercilessly plunged my knife into them. Okay, I think he's speaking metaphorically there. That means he's literally going to stab Giselle in the chest. How did we get to this point? Ugh, I hate everything. My spirits were getting darker and darker, like they were slowly sinking into a deep morass. I had been at the mansion for a month, and every day since felt twice as long as it should have. I had been optimistic at first. I'd even had a little hope that me and Michel could get along together, but it hadn't taken long for that hope to be shattered, and the cheer locked away inside me. We lived in the same house, but we never spoke anymore. On the few occasions we did cross paths, he just gave me a cold glare and nothing more. Scorn and suspicion in his eyes. Whenever he looked at me like that, it felt as though my throat was being constricted, like I was deep underwater and running out of air, like my very presence in the world was a crime. I never could have imagined just how agonizing constant rejection was. I started despising others, despising myself, despising the world, convinced there was no one who could set me free. I considered running away from everything rather than live like this another day. But I would have done so long ago if that were actually an option. If they found out I had fled, that I had acted outside their wishes, my mom and sister would pay. I had succeeded in allowing my sister to get married and my mom to live comfortably. I had given them happiness. I couldn't take that away from them again. Not after what I had to go through to do it. No, cut that out. Getting way too depressing, Giselle. Pull yourself together. That's not who you are. Be positive. The negativity didn't only come from my interactions with Michel either. No, there seemed to be some kind of terrible presence within the mansion that twisted people's hearts. The mansion was, in fact, a bit of a local legend, which I had been informed about before being sent here. People claimed it was cursed, and that an evil witch had lived in it for many, many years. Michel joked that he was the witch, but I didn't believe him. I'm not usually one to believe in magic or curses at all, but being here so long, I can't help but wonder. Anyway, things can't go on like this. If I was to remain in this house, the situation needed to improve a lot. I was going to lose my mind if things kept up as they were. I was ready to give up once, but I'm going to try closing the distance between us again. If I could get him to open up even the tiniest bit, then maybe that would make living here a little easier. I wasn't going to try to make us best friends or anything, just repair our relationship enough that being around each other wasn't torturous. I've got my work cut out for me. How do I even begin that conversation? Heck, what is that conversation even going to be about? Maybe I should hold off, do it another day. No, I've made up my mind to do this, so I should get to it quickly. The longer I wait, the worse things are going to get. And eventually, there won't be any fixing anything. We need to talk. We need to be in the same room for more than 10 seconds, and we need to get to know each other. He needs to know that he's not the reason I have something to hide. Okay, let's do this. I made my way to Michel's chambers, which he had told me to stay away from. My stride was slow and ponderous, but at the very least, I did my best to keep some semblance of a smile on my face. This is one time where I'd really like to have someone to give me a little nudge. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Pardon, master? There's something I'd like to talk to you about. Master? I guess he's not here. The door wasn't locked, as was the rest of the house. His room was shrouded in darkness. The only light came from the candle in my hand. Master? Are you there, Master? I guess I missed him. It's probably best if I don't stick around for long. He's already got less than stellar impression of me. I don't want to imagine what'll happen if he thinks I've been snooping through his room. Yeah, I should get out of here. I spun around on my heels, taking a step toward the door, when I caught sight of an object draped in a black sheet. I knew I had to get out of there as quickly as possible, but I was intrigued by that object. Something he kept hidden in a room I was forbidden to enter. Maybe it was a clue to discovering Michel's secrets. I reached my hand out toward the object, knowing good and well I shouldn't. Was it because I wanted to learn more about him? Was it because I wanted to tear down the veil he hid behind? Or was it the whispers of the witch? What do we have here? I pulled off the sheet, revealing a framed painting of what appeared to be a noble woman with porcelain white skin. What stood out about her, though, was that the woman's hair was as pale as her skin. And then, what? I noticed something else. Wide gashes ravaged the canvas, damaging her face beyond repair. So, does that mean the white-haired girl actually does exist? What the? I imagined it had once been a painting of a beautiful woman, but there was hardly a trace of that left. The only feeling it inspired anymore was a deep chill. This damage was not accidental. It was deliberate, angry, and the contempt emanating from within the frame was stifling. Thick, suffocating blackness seeped into me. Why would anyone? She was surely a most beautiful woman. Angelic, even. A storm of questions assaulted me. Who was she? Why had her face been carved up? Why had the painting been covered? What had happened? Who could have... There's only one person who could have done this. Michel. Why on earth? You saw it, didn't you? You saw the painting, didn't you? Ah! You entered my room without permission, and you saw the painting, didn't you? Angelic, you say? There's nothing angelic about that damned woman. I scrambled to make some excuse, but nothing would come out of my mouth. All I could do was tremble. Ah! Why did you enter my chambers? Mick, what were you looking for? Uh, Answer me. Uh, uh, My mouth wouldn't move properly. I couldn't make my voice come out. It was like I wasn't even in my own body anymore. The wisps of air that were drawn into my lungs were expelled as hoarse gasps. My breaths were shallow and rapid. I was inhaling, but I wasn't getting any air. I was terrified. Terrified. Terrified of his eyes, of his voice, of his feelings, of the knife he was holding up to me, of the terrible past I was chained to. The man's voice, the man's very flesh, terrified me. What were you trying to find? And what were you planning to do with it? Answer me! Another thing you refuse to tell me then? No, I'm trying. Nothing's coming out of my mouth, though. Everything's so bright, and I can't catch my breath. I can't breathe. That's fine, though. You don't have to tell me. I have a pretty good idea. An idea? What do you mean? Oops. Money is what brought you to the Bollinger estate. And it's what brought you to me, too. There are countless people who would love to see that house fall. And a noble family fears nothing more than disrepute. You were, I presume, approached by someone scheming the Bollinger's downfall. No. And as it just so happens, the Bollingers have a very unfortunate secret, one they are quite desperate to keep under wraps. Me. Someone suspected I might still be alive, so they sent you to dig up information about me. Bro. So that would mean the family, the Bollinger family, is trying to pretend that Michel is dead. Wow. My very existence threatens to tear down that house. The cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family. Michel, who made a pact with the devil, who is supposed to be dead, but is very much alive. You sweet-talked your way into that house, and into information about me and my present situation. And you meant to trade that information for money. I bet whoever it was put quite a handsome price on it, too. Or maybe the one plotting to ruin the Bollinger family is you. No! No! That's not true! Then enlighten me. Please, hear me out. I didn't know anything about you. I wasn't sniffing around or trying to bring you harm in any way. Then tell me, if that's not the reason you wormed your way into the Bollinger estate, and that's not what you're doing here, then tell me what is. Tell me why you came to this mansion. You want me to tell you about that? No way. That's asking way too much. Tell me. I swear, I haven't done anything wrong to you. I simply wanted to make our life together a little more comfortable. To bring some warmth into this frigid relationship we have. That's the only reason I wanted to find out more about you. I must assume I'm right then, Giselle. I must tell him I mean him no harm. But I can't say anything. A merchant's daughter became an abigail at a noble house? Could you come up with a more obvious lie? Your father's the one who... Wait. How does he know that I'm from a merchant family? You look perplexed. I may be imprisoned in this house, not free to move about as I please, but I have my ways. I know everything. Everything? Then he knows about that too. Oh yes, I do know. Please... Don't! In your quest for money... Don't say it. You slept with my father. In that moment, Michel plunged his knife into my heart. Carved through my chest with those words, causing me to completely lose control of myself. In a panic frenzy, and probably screaming all the way, I knocked the man aside and ran and ran and ran. And she ran so far away. I could hear a clap of thunder in the distance. Oh, how I wished a bolt of lightning would come crashing down upon me. So you're telling me the mistake she made was sleeping with the father? Then clearly that must mean the mother was the one who... Well, but wasn't she saying earlier the father was the one who sent her away? Maybe he sent her away because he didn't want Michel's mother to find out that he had slept with her. That could be it. Maybe if God burned my tainted flesh with the divine thunderbolt, it would get rid of some of the filth. But the jagged streaks of light cascading across the dark clouds did not strike me, only creating restless grumbles in the sky. Ah, 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 ah. Why? I knew that if I fled that mansion, I would likely be causing trouble for my mom and sister. But I was helpless to stop myself. All I could do was run from all that threatened me with no regard for the consequences. Before long, small droplets of rain began falling, which soon grew heavy enough to penetrate the forest canopy and reach the ground where I stood. That's nothing big. Well, back then it was. Like, have you ever read The Scarlet Letter? Like, and The Scarlet Letter took place like 600 years after this story does. So... So it's probably even worse during the time of this story than it was in the Scarlet Letter. Because I had rushed from the mansion without even putting on a cloak, each cold winter droplet stung bitterly against my flesh. But the bite of the rain was like a warm embrace compared to what I'd been through before. Michel had spoken the truth. As much as I wanted to deny it, to avert my eyes, reality was forever engraved in this body. No, no, I don't want to think about it. But I had no say in the matter. Get out of my head! Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Oh shit. Are we gonna get a flashback of them having sex now? Jeez. Come over here, Giselle. Okay, um, may I ask why you asked me here so late at night, Master? Oh, I just wanted to have a little chat. Care for some wine? Come closer and I'll pour you a glass. I had this wine imported from up north. They use very hard water and like it rather tart, so it leaves quite the lasting impression on your tongue. And yet, it goes down so easily, you just can't seem to stop. What do you say? Have a sip. Oh wait, so he got her drunk first, is that? Or does your expertise as a trader allow you to evaluate a wine's quality without tasting it? No, but, please, Giselle, don't trample all over my good graces. Very well then. I will have a sip, master, but no more. Have you ever considered growing out your hair? Having long hair made it difficult to do my job. You're not a merchant anymore, though. You deserve to look like the woman you truly are. I have no doubt longer hair would accentuate your natural beauty. It's a gorgeous shade of black, so deep a man could get lost in it for years. It would contrast the color of your skin fabulously. Highlight your eyes, your cheekbones, your nape, your shoulders, and your chest. I... I should get going. Oh, but we're not done talking yet. I would not want a lack of sleep to interfere with my ability to work tomorrow. Thank you very much for the wine. It was delicious. No need to be so cold-hearted now. From the moment I first laid eyes on you. Master, that's enough fooling around for one night. Now, don't be afraid. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. I simply want to express my love. Let go of me. I only came here to work, nothing more. Oh, shit. The first time I saw you, I thought it would be a tragic waste to leave you to wither away, working at some little street-side shop. Stop! You can't tell me you didn't know a merchant girl had no place in a house like this, even as a servant. There's only one reason you would be allowed here. No, I swear it never even crossed my mind. Ha ha ha. It would seem you're even more innocent than you look. But you figured it all out by now, haven't you? No, 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 let go of me. Stop this! Keep your voice down.
Eek!
Do not shout, Giselle. If anyone were to find out about this, you would be the one shouldering the consequences, not me.
But
you're a maid, and I'm the master of the house. Whose word do you think holds more weight? Don't worry, I won't do anything to hurt you. I promise your family will be exceptionally well taken care of. Your mother will have the comfortable life you wanted for her. But you know what will happen if you raise a fuss and make a fool of yourself. Not only will your family not get any of our money, and not only will your sister not get to marry, you'll all spend the rest of your lives on the streets.
how could you be so cruel? This is blackmail.
Blackmail? For a merchant's daughter, you don't know much about trade, do you? Then let me give you a little lesson about market value. The goods you're after, Giselle, are not cheap. Understand? Now, let me see that beautiful body of yours.
He was an older man, so I hadn't expected him to be very strong. But I couldn't break free of his grip, and I found myself entirely at his mercy. Beneath the gaudy outfits lay a hungry beast, and I was seeing the creature's true colors for the first time that day. The aging man ran his disgusting, slobbery tongue across my exposed skin. Everything he placed his hands upon withered away. Every piece of flesh he pressed his lips against putrefied, rotted, decayed, rankled. I trembled in revulsion, at which the man laughed, seemingly interpreting it as something else. I wonder what kind of place hell was. If hell's wardens only flayed and carved their prisoners, I would have preferred that instead. I would have rather been sliced into tiny little chunks and cast into the hellfire. I would have chosen eternal torment over being touched by this man another second. But I didn't get to choose my hell. Eventually, the man forced open the gates I had been holding fast and spread his festering death inside me. Listen to me, Giselle. It is in both of our best interests to keep this between the two of us. If you can do that, I'll continue to do good by you and your family. Oh, don't look at me like that, please. I'm thrilled to have you here in this house, Giselle. She has all torture just being in the same room. And my sons, they hardly ever come home. But you, Giselle, you give color to my dull life. You make it exciting once again. Now go on back to your room. I'll be waiting here at the same time next week. this is one of those times where I like have to grit my teeth to read through this shit. So that was a rape scene we just experienced there. You see that? And they make it so that it's her fault she got raped. She's the one who made a mistake. It's total fucking bullshit, dude.
I couldn't escape from that man's grasp. Not when he used my family name against me. Some weeks, I would just not go to his chambers, my one feeble means of resistance. But when I did that, he would send another Abigail to come find me the next day. I couldn't ignore a summons when he got other people involved. And then, when the two of us were alone, the mask would come off, and he would discipline me for not showing up before taking care of his usual business. On good days, he would leave bruises in inconspicuous places, my abdomen, my inner thighs. But he went as far as carving a word into my skin with a knife. Harlot. That was why I was afraid of knives. That was why I was afraid of men shouting. I wasn't even sure what to regret anymore. I was in far too deep. There was no turning back the clock. I even considered taking my own life on more than one occasion. But every time the thought crossed my mind, happy memories came with it. Back when it was just the three of us girls in the shop. Life may not have been easy, but it was never dull either. I didn't want to end my life at its absolute lowest point. I wanted, if just temporarily, to go back to the way things were back then. That objective was the only thing that allowed me to keep going. When I was in his presence, I tried to convince myself I was merely an object. I had no emotions, so he couldn't hurt me. I was merely a vessel, a construct of flesh and bones. His hands couldn't reach my heart, for it was not connected to my body. Doing that made it a little easier to bear. But the reality was, it was impossible to completely sever my heart from my body. You're Giselle, aren't you? One day, the mistress of the estate stopped me in the halls. She had supposedly once been quite beautiful, but now she was only haggard and bony. Her skin dry, her eyes sunken, her hair faded and stripped of its luster, her head down, her cracked lips barely moving as she spoke.
age didn't appear to be the only thing working its merciless magic on her either. There seemed to be something eating away at her from the inside, too. Something that could burst at the lightest touch. Yes, I am Giselle. Is there something I can do for you? The mistress rarely ever left her chambers. I had been told it had been years since she attended family supper. So what would bring her to come looking for someone like me? What? I wasn't sure I wanted to know the answer. You're having relations with my husband, aren't you? You are, aren't you? Madame. Ah, ah! You wretched creature! She was telling me the truth. One of my trusty maids caught a glimpse of you through a crack in the door. She saw you with him, you filthy rat. You seduced my husband. Ah, you devil. You conniving witch. You don't get it, do you? You don't realize how grievous your sin is, do you? Someone, anyone, restrain this girl. She's a demon, a devil. Tie her up and hand her over to the clergy. No, that won't be enough. A witch, you have to burn her bones, scatter the ashes, or she'll just come back to life. Yes, execute her. Kill this woman. Burn the witch. Seize the piece she's stolen from me. Cursed. It's cursed. This house is cursed. Not only has it taken away my daughter, now it's trying to take away my husband. Oh God, please shine thy cleansing light upon this house. I knew it would be a waste of breath trying to talk to her. She was not of sound mind. There was madness in her eyes. I didn't even have to make a fuss about it. It happened all on its own. If there was no way around it, then I should have just done it myself after the first time. I didn't have the energy to argue with her, or to cry, or to shout. Before long, a crowd began to form around me, and the sobbing mistress, and in it stood him. I assumed he would just stand back and watch, but much to my surprise, he stepped in, with an embarrassed look on his face, to try to settle his wife down and convince her not to have me executed. Maybe he did have a heart after all. Or maybe he just wanted to save face. Regardless, instead of being burned at the stake, it was decided that I would be sent away to some remote forest. One of the previous Bollinger family heads had purchased a mansion there long ago, but it had been abandoned because of the stories people told about it. They said a cursed witch dwelled in the house. She had returned to life after being executed, and now skulked about in the darkness. It was the perfect place to banish a sinner, and so, accused of adultery, I was in a carriage on my way out of the capital the next day. Okay, that's so fucking stupid. The one who committed adultery is what was his name? Antonio or whatever? Antonin. Michel's father. I mean, she's not married, so how can she commit adultery? It doesn't even make any sense. See, man, oh my god, this is such horseshit. Like, she was fucking raped, dude, and she gets accused of adultery. What fucking pieces of shit? That whole family should fucking die. Like all of them. Even Michel, he should fucking die too. I hope my mom and sister are alright. The two of them will believe in me, even if no one else does. The wooden wheels turned, carrying me away to that cursed mansion. Just a silent coachman and his single solely passenger. Looking out through the window, I could see the city walls slowly fading into the distance behind us. I doubted I would ever set foot in this land again. Ever cross the Grand Pont again. It was a saddening reality, but at the same time, I felt a surge of relief. I had finally escaped from that house. I had finally escaped from that man. This sense of freedom slightly lessened the weight of everything else I was feeling. good while after we left the capital, the coachman handed me a letter. On the sheet of parchment was a rather startling revelation. There was someone else already living at the house where I was to reside, the Bollinger's youngest child. But the letter didn't say why he had been sent to the cursed mansion, only that he was there. Beyond that, the letter only made a single request, that I look after him and not ask any questions. So I'm not just being sent off to the middle of nowhere. I still have work to do. If I look after whoever's at the mansion, then they'll do the same for my family? Okay, sorry about that. I was making some hot chocolate. I don't have much say in the matter either way, I suppose. The carriage rattled and shook as it traversed the stony path, and bouncing around inside it, I resolved to take back my life. The peace I had once known, the cheerfulness I had lost, and to do so, I would forget, lock away my memories, bury every terrible thing that had happened to me, cast aside those memories and find my smile once more. I have no idea who I'm going to find there, but they couldn't possibly do anything worse to me. I'll greet them with a smile and do my best to build up a decent relationship with them. I figured since the both of us had been banished to the same cursed mansion, there would probably be other things we had in common. And so, I would forget it all and get my life back, get my smile back.
that was everything that led up to me arriving at the mansion. All the wounds I never wanted to open again. I didn't want to think about that. I've been trying so hard to forget about it. I wanted to forget all about it. So why? Why did you have to make me remember? All I did was believe that we could make things work. Uh, why? How could you? God, I can't take it anymore. Okay, plug my phone in. Hey, down. Once the memories had broken free, they all flooded back with perfect clarity. Exactly how he ran his hands across me. Exactly where he hit me. Where he cut me. Like I was going through it again. This very moment. Black. The rain was cooling me down on the outside. So much nauseating heat had built up in my gut. I vomited all over the ground. I threw up and I threw up and I threw up until there was nothing left but bile. And when I had nothing left to expel, the strength evacuated from my knees, and I collapsed. I didn't know if everything was blurry because of the rain, or because my eyes had decided they were done looking at anything. The whole world twisted before me. Michel's no different. My attempts to get close to him, to always keep a smile on, it was all a waste. The look in his eyes was terrifying. Like he didn't believe in anything at all. So he probably wouldn't have believed me if I had told him the truth. If he's convinced I have an ulterior motive, there's probably no changing his mind. Such a cold rain. If I lie down here and go to sleep, I wonder if all the warmth will eventually drain from my body. Then I'll decompose and become part of the earth. You know, that might actually be nice. I'd like that. I always thought I didn't want to die. That I wanted to go back to the way things were. But who cares anymore? I
did my best after all. That still got me nowhere. Cheerful Giselle was all just a farce. And when I'm dead, all my worry for my mom and sister will fade away with me. Oh God, I doubt you have a place for me on high. I am, after all, an unclean woman. And I've given up on living altogether. But even if I can't get into heaven, that's okay. I want release. The rain pitter-pattered down through the leaves overhead, chilling my skin. The cold spread through my flesh and into my bones, my heart and lungs and stomach, freezing me like a block of ice. My consciousness drifted away from me, and the world slipped through my fingers. More than fear, I felt relief. Utter black. And that, I was sure, was the end of me. And that, I was sure, was the end of me. I am, even now, putting her through a harrowing experience, digging up the memories she locked away, the past she wanted to pretend never happened. Poppy, get down. Poppy. And laying it all out before her once more. But I must get her back to who she once was, even if means forcing her to endure this. She must remember everything, because I need to know. Why did she become the maid? And what secrets does this house hold? You're... Michel. Yes, my name is Michel. I am not the white-haired girl. The person you were searching for was the man who once hurt you deeply. Me. Why? What was her why referring to? Why I hurt her? Or why I'm here? Or perhaps why I didn't show up until now? Not having an answer for her, I clench her cold hands in mine. I wonder, were her hands this cold at that night too? There's still more we need to see though, and it's still too soon for me to apologize. When she's gotten everything back, only then can I.
once she's reclaimed herself. That is when I must tell her. Now, let us return to our past. Our story has only just begun. No matter what we thought or what we desired, no matter what we lost or how much pain we suffered, we must not shut this door. Perfect darkness embraces us once more. I can see nothing, not even the woman beside me, but I shall not let go of her hand. I do not want her to slip away from me. I do not want to lose her. Stay with me. Are you all right? Ah. Oh, thank goodness. You're awake. How's your head? Can you see me? What? You had me scared silly there. I thought I might have lost you for good. I'm really glad you're alive. Where am I? And who is this man? What was I doing? You feeling up for any food? I can whip up some porridge for you right quick. Ah, I was in the forest. It was raining. Before that, I was at the mansion. I feel sick, like there's still something in my stomach. No, thank you. I don't want anything. You really should have something. You need to keep up your energy. Unless you want to conk out again in an hour. Sounds good to me. I'd rather never wake up at all. You're not in the highest of spirits either, it seems. All the more reason to get something warm in you. Please, have something. I've got some milk on the fire. I bet you can handle a cup of that. You start losing all hope once the cold gets that deep in you, reaches down to your core. Take me at my word, please. Just one sip. You'll feel like a whole new gal. A heart-wrenchingly pleasant aroma wafted up with the steam from within the wooden cup. Succumbing to the sweet smell, I lifted the cup to my lips for just one sip, and the warmth that spread through me brought tears to my eyes. Perhaps there really was kindness in the world. A ripple spread across the surface of the milk. I heard a gentle sigh coming from the man beside me, after which he said with a smile, "You should take it easy for the day." I
had lost the willpower to think about anything. I didn't care what had happened to me or why I was here. Who he spent the whole day in bed, just watching the sun slowly slide across the wooden floor. It felt like I was somewhere far, far away. At times, I felt like a lost child, and at times like a sickly old woman on her deathbed. Watching the sun travel gave me a renewed awareness of the fact that each moment that went by was another moment I was alive. I realized then that it had been a while since I had gotten more than a brief glimpse at any sunlight. It almost surprised me how colorful the world seemed beneath the sun's light, something I didn't get much of in the dark mansion. Only after losing something do you realize how much you need it. Warm milk, the light shining through the window, and a bed that smelled like springtime. With those three things, my heart slowly began to defrost. And I started to regain the willpower to stand on my own 2 feet. Thank you for everything. You sure you're in any shape to be on your feet? Yes, I'm fine. I'm not hurt. You looked pretty beat up to me. But you look a lot better now. And you're talking a lot more clearly than before. You've been very generous, despite having never met me before, and for that you have my deepest gratitude. Without your help, I would no longer be in this world. I don't deserve your thanks. You are alive now because God's guidance made it so. God? I came across you early this morning as I was heading into the forest to hunt. Imagine my surprise seeing a young lady like you on the ground in my path. What were you doing in the forest? You don't have to tell me if you'd rather not. Everyone's got their own share of personal problems. You're not going to demand I talk? I have no reason to force you to do anything. You looked like you'd been to hell and back. What? I could tell just looking at you. Now then, do you have somewhere you can go? Somewhere to go? Of course I don't. I can't go back to the capital or the mansion. If not, then why don't you stay here? Here? Sure, it's a small village. We're self-sufficient and we all help each other out. No tax-hungry lords know we built the place up either, so we keep everything we make. We're pretty remote as a result, and the harvest isn't fantastic, but I'm sure you'll find it comfortable here. The rest of the villagers will be glad to have you. What do you say?
I... Sorry, Mom. What I'm about to do might make the rest of the family's lives more difficult. But I don't want to have to feel any more pain. If I really wouldn't be inconveniencing you, if it's really okay, then yes, I would like to stay here.
Well, that's great to hear. I was loath to send you back out there in your current condition. I haven't introduced myself yet, have I? The name's... Oh, God. I don't know how the hell to pronounce that shit. Amadee? Amadei? Just one lowly villager of many.
I'm Giselle.
Giselle? That's a beautiful name. If I'm not mistaken, there should be a vacant house. Clean it up, and you can call it home.
I couldn't possibly ask for that. I doubt others would like it if I just took a house for myself.
Oh, that shouldn't be an issue. I'm the village's representative, more or less.
Representative? Like the chief?
Only in name, though. As I mentioned, we're not on any lord's maps, so I don't have much representing to do. The only reason I ended up in charge is because I'm a bit more educated than anyone else. It was a long time ago, but I understudied with a priest. Because of that, I'm familiar with the Bible's teachings. So rather than a chief, the people of the village look at me more like a priest. Wouldn't be much fun if the church found out about that. They're liable to think I'm acting unordained.
Then you believe in God?
Oh, that's quite the question. Of course God exists. He's always watching over us. That's why you survived, because he protected you. I understand that your faith can waver when you're going through times of tribulation, but those are the times when it's most important you keep sight of who you are.
Right.
Now, you get some rest. Tomorrow, I'll show you around the village.
Thank you. I truly mean it. I really, sincerely appreciate everything.
Don't mention it, Giselle. This is your village now, too, so you don't need to act like a stranger anymore.
Okay. So he's Amadei. He seems like a nice man. Maybe here I can live in peace. It'll be alright, I'm sure. Yeah. I wasn't silly enough to believe my life would be perfect, but I had found a tiny fragment of my lost hope. While I had once been ready to give up on absolutely everything, I was starting to feel like I might be able to smile again, eventually. Like I might be able to get back on my feet. And in order to do that, I had to cast aside my past once more. Forget everything that had happened at the Bollinger estate, and everything that had happened at that mansion. Forget about Michel. There was one niggling curiosity, though, that I couldn't shake. Something he had said before I left. My very existence threatens to tear down that house. The cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family. Michel, who made a pact with the devil, who is supposed to be dead, but is very much alive. What had he meant by that? Why would people think he was dead? No, I don't care about Michel one bit. Forget it. Forget everything. The house was, as it had always been, wrapped in a thick silence. Giselle's shadow, which had been lurking in the halls for about a month, was nowhere to be found. She hadn't come back since running off that day. My secret was still safe. Her efforts had, in the end, all been for naught. Back to the way things were. But despite my mind telling me that it was for the best, I felt a kind of guilt seething in the back of my chest, and any attempts to figure out why only made me feel worse. But the look on her face then... Please, hear me out. I didn't know anything about you. I wasn't sniffing around or trying to bring you harm in any way. Was that really her just putting on an act because I revealed her scheming? She was screaming, though, and she looked genuinely terrified when she knocked my hand away. I'm not falling for anything. I feel like I know that frenzied panic. Something doesn't add up. Be quiet. Silence, please. My head was pounding beyond belief. I couldn't stand anything. This world, the creature I was, the witches whispering. The archangel looking down upon me seemed to be cackling from somewhere far out of reach. So, for whatever it was worth, to escape from his gaze. I once again drew the drapes over the stained glass window. Alright, we're gonna stop here. Alright, thanks for joining. I will be back again tomorrow. We'll do some more Genshin Impact and then some more of this too, so enjoy the rest of your night.